About project baseline. Guys, today's topic is very interesting, and whoever is basically studying the project management or PMBOK, he definitely heard this topic, project baseline. So I would request that please subscribe to my channel and also click on the bell option so that we can start the tutorial. So let's start our tutorial. Friends, basically whoever is basically studying the PMBOK project management, he definitely heard this topic, project baseline. uh, Please remember that basically this topic pertains to project management, project baseline. Project baseline, if you just see the definition, see the topic project baseline, that means the baseline which is pertaining to project. Guys, basically whenever we the project baseline is basically used to measure how performance deviate from the basically plan. Just remember that basically the baseline pertains to scope, cost and schedule. Whenever we start a project, we baseline the project. Baseline means the original scope, cost and schedule, so that we can measure the performance at some later stage. Let's suppose you are starting a project. The original scope is that you have to deliver five modules of financials. Okay, the cost will be, for example, $5,000, and the schedule is 5 months. Okay, so that means the scope is 5 modules, cost is $5,000 and the schedule is 5 months. So at that case, after planning, you baseline the project. Baseline means that this is your original scope. Original scope means that after planning and detailed analysis and requirement gathering, you realize that you have to give 5 modules as per the scope. $5,000 is the total cost and the 5 months is the schedule. Now this is your baseline. Baseline means the original scope, cost and schedule, so that you can measure the performance at some later stage. For example, if at some later stage you recognize that the project cost, after for example few months, you recognize that project cost is now $6,000 and 6 months are passed. So that means you are deviate from the original cost and schedule, because the original cost was $5,000 and you have spent $6,000. So that means you are deviated from the original cost. Similarly, the schedule was 5 months and you have spent 6 months, so you are deviated from the original schedule as well. Basically, the concept of baseline is basically to measure the performance and the deviation from the plan. So this is called basically the concept of baseline. Baseline means the original scope, cost and schedule which you define at the starting stage of a project, and you use this baseline to calculate the performance by checking the deviation from the plan. For example, if your cost was $5,000 and after few months you recognize that $4,000 are spent it, so that means that you are under budget, under budget. So that means you are okay. If you have spent $6,000 and your original cost was $5,000, so that means you are negatively deviated from the plan. Okay, so this is mainly the concept of baseline. Baseline means the original cost, scope and schedule is basically your baseline, and this is defined at the starting stage of project, and the baseline is basically used to measure the performance by checking the deviation from the plan. So this is called basically the main concept of baseline. Baseline means the original layer of scope, cost and schedule. Okay, this is the main concept of baseline. One more thing, that when you start the execution and you check the deviation and you understand that you need some change request, so you need to analyze the change impact, and if change approved, then the new baseline will be redefined as the original plan plus the approved change. Are you getting my point? That means, for example, let's suppose the project starts and you recognize at the when you are starting the project, after analysis and requirement gathering, you recognize that 5 modules will be developed as per the scope. $5,000 is the cost, and the 5 month is the original scope. After 1 month, when you checked and evaluated the performance, and after discussion with the stakeholder, you recognize that one major change is came, and once the change is approved, so you need one more month, $1,000 more, and 1 month and $1,000 more, like one more module, $1,000 as a cost, and 1 month more. So what happened, that this change will, after approving the change, it will be added in the baseline. What does that means? Original scope, so the baseline will be redefined. Redefined means as per the original scope you have to deliver 5 modules. Now once the change approved, you have to deliver one more module, so that means 6. It will become 6 module. Similarly, as per the original cost, $5,000 was the original cost, but now after changing the approving the change, so it will become 1,000 more, so it will become 5,000 plus 1,000, 6,000 become. And as per the original schedule, you have to provide the product in 5 months. After approving the change, 1 more month, so it will become 6 months. So main concept is that when the change is approved, so the baseline will also be redefined, considering the impact of changes on the scope, cost and schedule. Okay, I hope you are with me and you are following me and you are getting my point. Let me tell you again. The original concept of baseline is basically the original scope, cost and schedule, which is basically used to calculate the performance by checking the deviation from the plan. This is the main concept of baseline. When project starts executing, we will be checking the performance, and if there is any change came and it approved from the major authorities of and the stakeholders, so the impact of change will also be added in the baseline, and in the result of that, the baseline will be redefined. Redefined means that the scope, cost and schedule will be redefined. The baseline will be redefined after approving the change. This is the concept of approving the change and impact on the baseline. One more thing, friends, please note that if there are frequent changes are coming in the scope, cost and schedule, mainly in the scope, so that means if there are frequent changes are coming, so there are major chances, there are very high chances that the requirement gathering was not correct, and there were major loopholes or gaps in the requirement gathering if there are frequent changes are coming in the scope. And there are main chances that the lack of meaningful communication with users and customer early in the project initiation phase, that would be resulting in the reason for frequent changes. and also you have a very good eye as a project manager on the risk management. Similarly, because see, if there are major changes coming in the scope, that means you have missed the major requirements in the requirement gathering and planning phase, and that would impact. So this is basically a risk. You, as a risk, you should consider this point. This could be a risk. Are you getting my point? If you are if there are major changes coming in your plan, in your scope, that means you have missed the major requirement in the requirement gathering or planning phase, and it would impact your your main baseline. So remember one thing, that it would be a risk, and as a risk you should consider this point. And remember one thing, in the exam of PMP, you could see this type of question, that if there is as a risk, you should consider this point, that you can miss major requirement in the planning and requirement gathering phase. So this would be a risk in the planning and the requirement gathering. During the requirement gathering, you missed major requirements. So friends, I hope I have tried my level best to explain you the main concept of baseline and the impact of changes and why major changes came in the project planning phase. So I hope you like this video. If you like, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And also, I would say the main concept of making this video is that I would just want to share my knowledge and my experience with you guys, with my friends. So I would request, please subscribe to my channel, and also click on the bell option. So thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you.